Good morning. I'm so excited to share a message with you today that has the power to shift your perspective, strengthen your faith, and take you to new heights. The title of my message is Uncommon Favor. We've all experienced moments when things worked out in ways we couldn't have planned. A door opened that no one could shut, an opportunity appeared out of nowhere, or a situation turned around when it seemed impossible. That, my friends, is what I call uncommon favor. Uncommon favor is when God steps in and does something extraordinary. It's not earned by how good we are. It's a gift that flows from His goodness. It's favor that goes beyond human understanding. Where blessings chase you down, opportunities overtake you, and obstacles are moved out of your way. But here's the key. Uncommon favor doesn't mean life will always be easy. You might face challenges, delays, or even closed doors. But those obstacles don't cancel God's plan for your life. They are often a setup for something greater. Joseph was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and imprisoned. But even in the darkest places, he found uncommon favor. God was working behind the scenes to elevate him to a position of influence and authority. You may be in a difficult season right now, wondering when things will change. Let me encourage you, don't lose heart. God's favor is not bound by your circumstances. What He has spoken over your life will come to pass, and it will happen in a way that no one can take credit for except Him. But here's what I've learned. To experience uncommon favor, we must live with expectation. Wake up each day and declare, today I'm walking in favor. Good things are coming my way. God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating blessings I can't even imagine. When you align your words with faith, you activate the power of God's favor in your life. And when the favor comes, don't forget to give thanks. Gratitude unlocks more blessings. A grateful heart says, God, I see your hand in my life. I may not have everything I want yet, but I know you're working all things together for my good. Finally, let's not keep this favor to ourselves. When God blesses you, be a blessing to someone else. Share your resources, speak encouragement, and help others step into the favor God has for them. When you become a conduit of favor, you invite even more of it into your life. So I challenge you today, live with expectation, walk in gratitude, and be a blessing to others. You're not just anyone. You are a child of the Most High God. He has uncommon favor stored up for you. Doors are going to open, breakthroughs are on the way, and blessings are about to overtake you in ways you've never imagined. Get ready, because the favor of God is coming your way. Not common favor, but uncommon favor. Thank you, and God bless you. Uncommon favor is not just a buzzword. It's a profound concept that signifies divine intervention in our lives in extraordinary ways. It is the type of favor that defies explanation, a blessing that exceeds effort, talent, or merit. It's when doors open that you didn't even knock on, opportunities come your way that you didn't seek out, and victories are handed to you in battles you weren't prepared to fight. Uncommon favor is when the impossible becomes possible, not because of your strength, but because of a higher power working on your behalf. Most people are familiar with the idea of favor in everyday terms. Perhaps you've experienced being in the right place at the right time, or having someone extend kindness to you when you least expected it. While these moments are significant, uncommon favor takes things a step further. It's not merely about chance or luck. It's about the deliberate hand of God orchestrating events in your life to accomplish His greater purpose. You see, uncommon favor often shows up in situations where you feel unqualified, overwhelmed, or even unnoticed. It's the promotion you didn't think you'd get because there were more experienced candidates. It's the loan approval that came through when your credit score wasn't perfect. It's the doctor's report that says you're healed when the odds were against you. These are not coincidences. They are manifestations of uncommon favor. God's way of reminding you that He is in control and His plans for you are good. One of the most incredible things about uncommon favor is that it doesn't depend on your background, your education, or even your past mistakes. In the Bible, we see this time and again. David was a shepherd boy, the youngest and least likely among his brothers, yet he was chosen to be king. Esther was an orphan living in a foreign land, yet she became a queen and saved her people. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery and falsely imprisoned, yet he rose to become the second most powerful man in Egypt. These stories remind us that uncommon favor is not about who you are, but about who God is and His ability to use any situation for His glory. Another aspect of uncommon favor is that it often comes with a purpose. God doesn't just bless us for our own benefit. He blesses us so that we can be a blessing to others. When you receive uncommon favor, it's an opportunity to extend that favor to those around you. Perhaps God opens a door for you to step into a new career, not just so you can succeed, but so you can create opportunities for others. Maybe you've been blessed financially, not just to enjoy a comfortable life, but to help someone in need or fund a cause that changes lives. Uncommon favor positions you to make a greater impact, and when you use it to serve others, you magnify its purpose. Now, this doesn't mean that life will always be smooth sailing when you're walking in favor. In fact, uncommon favor often shows up in the midst of challenges and opposition. Think about the story of Daniel in the lion's den. He was thrown into a pit with hungry lions, but God's favor protected him and he emerged unharmed. Similarly, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into a fiery furnace, but they walked out without even the smell of smoke on their clothes. These stories teach us that favor doesn't mean the absence of trials. It means that God is with you in the trial, ensuring that you come out victorious. So how do you recognize uncommon favor in your own life? Start by paying attention to the moments when things work out in ways you couldn't have planned. Maybe you meet someone who introduces you to an opportunity that changes your career path. Perhaps a situation that seemed hopeless suddenly turns around. These are not random occurrences. They are signs of God's favor. Acknowledge that it wasn't your doing, but the result of a higher power working on your behalf. Lastly, remember that uncommon favor often requires faith. You must believe that you are worthy of God's blessings, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. Walk with an attitude of expectation, knowing that favor is not limited to a select few, but is available to anyone who dares to believe. When you live with this mindset, you position yourself to receive blessings that go beyond your wildest dreams. Uncommon favor is not just a concept. It's a reality that has the power to transform your life. It's a reminder that no matter where you've been or what you've faced, God's hand is upon you, ready to guide you into greater things. So keep your heart open, live with gratitude, and watch as doors you never imagined begin to open. That's the beauty of uncommon favor. It's not just a gift, it's a glimpse of God's extraordinary love for you. God's plan for favor. Uncommon favor is not random. It is part of God's divine plan for your life, a plan uniquely designed for you, crafted with purpose, and filled with His blessings. From the moment you were formed, God ordained specific opportunities, breakthroughs, and moments of favor that align with His greater purpose for you. It's not by chance or coincidence, it's intentional. Uncommon favor is one of the ways God reminds us of His sovereignty and His commitment to work all things together for our good. Sometimes it's easy to look at our circumstances and question whether God's plan is still active. Maybe life has thrown you some unexpected challenges, or things haven't worked out the way you hoped. But let me remind you, God's plan for your favor is never canceled, delayed, or diminished. It is still in motion, even when you can't see it. One of the most beautiful examples of God's plan for favor can be found in the story of Esther. Esther was an ordinary young woman, an orphan, raised by her cousin Mordecai, living in a foreign land. By all accounts, she was unqualified to step into any significant role. But God had a plan. Through a series of divine interventions, Esther found herself chosen as queen, an unlikely position for someone with her background. And when her people were in danger, Esther used her position to save them. Now think about this. Esther's rise to royalty wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't luck or happenstance. It was God's plan all along. He placed her in that position for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. That's how God's favor works. It's not just about blessings for your benefit. It's about positioning you to fulfill a greater purpose. God's plan for favor often involves preparation. Before He brings you into a place of influence, He may take you through a season of growth, testing, or even waiting. Think about David, who was anointed as king while he was still a shepherd boy. It didn't happen overnight. David spent years tending sheep, fighting battles, and facing challenges before he stepped into his role as king. But all along, God's favor was preparing him for what was ahead. Maybe you're in a season right now where you feel overlooked or stuck. Can I encourage you? God's favor is still at work. He is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. The closed doors, the delays, and the detours are not the end of the story. They are part of the process. Trust that God's timing is perfect. His plan is unfolding, and when the time is right, His favor will take you to places you never dreamed possible. Another important aspect of God's plan for favor is that it often requires obedience and faith. Sometimes God will ask you to step out of your comfort zone or take a leap of faith. It may not make sense at the moment, but when you follow His leading, you position yourself to experience His favor. Abraham is a perfect example of this. God called him to leave his home and go to a land he had never seen. Abraham obeyed, and because of his faith, God blessed him with uncommon favor, making him the father of many nations. God's plan for favor is also deeply personal. He knows the desires of your heart, the dreams you've tucked away, and the prayers you've whispered in secret. His favor is not a one-size-fits-all blessing. It is tailored to your life, your purpose, and your journey. What He has for you is uniquely yours. No one else can take it, and no circumstance can rob you of it. And here's the most amazing part. God's favor is not limited by your imperfections. You don't have to be perfect to receive His blessings. God's plan for favor is rooted in His grace, not your performance. It's not about earning His approval. It's about trusting in His goodness. So, what can you do? Stay faithful where you are. Keep doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. Stay connected to God through prayer and His Word. And most importantly, keep believing that His plan for favor is at work in your life. God's plan for favor is bigger than you can imagine. It's a plan that will open doors no one can shut, make a way where there seems to be no way, and position you for opportunities you didn't even know existed. It's a plan that will not only bless you, but also make you a blessing to others. So hold on to that promise, because God's plan for your favor is unfolding, and the best is yet to come. Favor despite challenges. An uncommon favor does not mean a life free from challenges. In fact, some of the greatest manifestations of favor often arise in the most difficult seasons of life. Favor isn't the absence of adversity. It's God's grace carrying you through it. It's His hand sustaining you, making a way where there seems to be no way, and turning what was meant to harm you into something that elevates you. One of the biggest misconceptions about favor is that it means you'll never face opposition or hardships. But if you look at the lives of those who walked in God's favor, you'll see they often faced some of the greatest challenges. Consider the story of Joseph. He had dreams of greatness, dreams planted by God Himself. Yet before Joseph saw those dreams fulfilled, he was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. From the outside, it might have seemed like Joseph was anything but favored. But here's the key. Favor doesn't prevent the trial, it ensures the triumph. Even in the prison, Joseph experienced God's uncommon favor. He was elevated to positions of authority wherever he went, from Potiphar's house to the prison itself. And when the time was right, that same favor propelled him into the role of second in commander over all of Egypt. What looked like setbacks were actually setups for his destiny. This principle applies to our lives as well. Challenges don't cancel God's favor, they showcase it. You might be facing a health scare, financial difficulty, or a strained relationship. It's easy to think, if I'm favored, why am I going through this? But what if the very thing you're going through is setting the stage for something greater? Take Daniel, for example. He was thrown into the lion's den, not because he did something wrong, but because he stood firm in his faith. Yet even in the den, God's favor was with him. The lions couldn't touch him. What was meant to destroy him became the very thing that elevated him. When he emerged unharmed, the king issued a decree honoring Daniel's God. Or think about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They faced a fiery furnace for refusing to bow to a golden idol. The fire was so intense that it killed the soldiers who threw them in. But God's favor didn't just protect them, it elevated them. When they walked out of the furnace without even the smell of smoke on their clothes, it became a testimony of God's power and faithfulness. Here's what these stories teach us. God's favor doesn't always remove the challenge, but it always brings you through it. Favor will sustain you in the storm, protect you in the fire, and strengthen you in the trial. And when you come out on the other side, you'll be stronger, wiser, and positioned for greater things. Sometimes favor is most evident when things seem impossible. It's easy to recognize favor when everything is going well, when you get the promotion, the deal goes through, or the relationship blossoms. But the real test of favor is when you can trust that God is working, even when nothing seems to be going your way. That's where faith comes in. Faith says, I may not see it now, but I believe God is working behind the scenes. I believe that this setback is temporary, and it's setting me up for a greater comeback. Faith doesn't deny the reality of the challenge. It declares the reality of God's power over it. You might be in a season where you feel surrounded by challenges, like you're in the middle of the fire or the lion's den. But let me remind you, God is with you. His favor is upon you, and He is turning things around for your good. The very thing meant to stop you will propel you. The trial that seemed unbearable will become the testimony that inspires others. Don't let the challenge make you doubt God's favor. Instead, let it strengthen your faith. Stand firm, knowing that God's plan is bigger than the problem. Declare His promises over your life. I am blessed and highly favored. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. If God is for me, who can be against me? Favor doesn't exempt you from challenges, it equips you to overcome them. And when you walk in uncommon favor, every difficulty is an opportunity for God to show His power. So no matter what you're facing today, remember, favor is not the absence of trouble, it's the assurance that you'll come out better, stronger, and ready to step into the next level of your destiny. Living with expectation. Uncommon favor is not just something that happens by chance. It's something you can prepare for by living with expectation. When you wake up each day with a mindset of faith, believing that good things are coming your way, you align yourself with God's blessings. Living with expectation isn't just about hoping for something to happen. It's about confidently knowing that God is at work, orchestrating opportunities, breakthroughs, and blessings on your behalf. Expectation is a powerful force. It sets the tone for how you approach your day and how you see life. Many people go through life expecting the worst, expecting disappointment, rejection, or failure. But when you live with the opposite mindset, expecting favor, think about it like this. Expectation is like the soil that makes your faith grow. When a farmer plants a seed, they don't just toss it in the dirt and walk away, doubting whether it will sprout. They expect a harvest. They water the seed, nurture it, and wait patiently because they know the seed is designed to grow. In the same way, when you live with expectation, you're watering the seeds of favor that God has planted in your life. Expectation is also an act of faith. Hebrews 11:01 says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Even when you can't see the favor yet, you act as if it's already on its way. This kind of faith not only pleases God, but also activates His promises. One of the best examples of living with expectation is found in the story of the woman with the issue of blood, Mark 5:25, 34. This woman had been suffering for 12 years and nothing had worked for her. But when she heard that Jesus was passing through, she said to herself, if I can just touch the hem of His garment, I will be healed. She didn't say, maybe it will work. She expected healing. She pushed through the crowd, reached out in faith, and received her miracle. Jesus told her, your faith has made you whole. Now, think about this. Her expectation was the key. She believed that something good was going to happen, and she acted on that belief. What are you expecting in your life right now? Are you expecting breakthroughs or staying stuck in doubt? Are you waking up each day saying, this is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it? Or are you thinking, here comes another tough day? Living with expectation doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending challenges don't exist. It means choosing to believe that God's favor can turn any situation around. When you live with expectation, you look for opportunities instead of obstacles. You see potential where others see problems. And most importantly, you stay hopeful even in the face of uncertainty. One of the reasons living with expectation is so powerful is that it changes your perspective. When you expect favor, you start to notice it more. It's not that God wasn't blessing you before, it's that your mindset determines what you focus on. If you expect blessings, you'll see them everywhere. That unexpected phone call, the kind gesture from a stranger, or the closed door that led to something better, these are all signs of God's favor. Expectation also shifts your language. When you live with expectation, you speak life over your situation. Instead of saying, I'll never get out of this mess, you say, God is working it out for my good. Instead of saying, I'm not qualified for this job, you declare, God's favor is opening doors for me. Words have power. And when you speak with expectation, you align your life with God's promises. Living with expectation requires consistency. It's not just about having faith on the good days. It's about maintaining that faith when things aren't going your way. Maybe you've been praying for something that hasn't happened yet. Don't lose hope. Keep expecting, keep declaring God's favor. The delay doesn't mean denial. Sometimes God's timing is preparing you for something bigger than you imagine. As you live with expectation, you'll begin to notice a shift, not just in your circumstances, but in your spirit. You'll walk with more confidence, approach challenges with more courage, and find joy even in the waiting. Expectation isn't just about what God is going to do, it's about trusting who He is. He is faithful, He is good, and He delights in blessing His children. So today, make a decision to live with expectation. Wake up each morning and say, something good is going to happen to me today. Look for signs of God's favor in the big things and the small things. Speak life, walk in faith, and get ready, because when you live with expectation, you position yourself to receive uncommon favor like never before. Gratitude unlocks more favor. Gratitude is a powerful force that amplifies the blessings in your life and paves the way for even more favor. When you live with a heart full of gratitude, you create an atmosphere for God's blessings to thrive. Gratitude says, Lord, I recognize that every good thing in my life comes from You. I may not have everything I want, but I'm thankful for what I have, and I trust You for what's to come. Uncommon favor often begins with a thankful heart. It's easy to focus on what's missing or to let challenges overshadow the good things in our lives. But when you take time to pause and give thanks, you shift your focus from lack to abundance. Gratitude reminds you of God's faithfulness and prepares your heart to receive more of His blessings. Consider the story of the 10 lepers in Luke 17:11 through 19. All 10 were healed by Jesus, but only one returned to give thanks. The Bible says that when he came back, Jesus told him, "Your faith has made you whole." Think about that. While the other 9 received physical healing, this man's gratitude brought him wholeness. Gratitude doesn't just recognize the favor you've already received. It positions you to experience even greater blessing. Living with gratitude doesn't mean ignoring the challenges in your life. It means choosing to see the good in the midst of them. Maybe you're not where you want to be yet, but you can be thankful that you're not where you used to be. Perhaps the promotion hasn't come, but you can be grateful for the job you have. Maybe the healing hasn't manifested yet, but you can thank God for the strength to keep going. Gratitude shifts your perspective and opens your eyes to see God's hand at work, even in the waiting. Gratitude also changes the way you speak. When you're thankful, your words reflect it. Instead of complaining about what's wrong, you start declaring what's right. You say things like, "Lord, thank you for your favor in my life. Thank you for the opportunities you're bringing my way. Thank you for working behind the scenes, even when I can't see it." Your words have power, and when you speak with gratitude, you invite more of God's blessings into your life. One of the most beautiful things about gratitude is that it's contagious. When you live with a thankful heart, it inspires those around you. Your attitude becomes a testimony of God's goodness, and it encourages others to see the favor in their own lives. Gratitude has a ripple effect. It spreads joy, strengthens relationships, and creates an environment where blessings can multiply. It's also important to remember that gratitude isn't just for the big moments, it's for the everyday blessings too. Sometimes we get so focused on waiting for a breakthrough that we overlook the small ways God is blessing us daily. The kindness of a friend, the beauty of a sunrise, the fact that you woke up this morning. These are all gifts from God. When you learn to be grateful for the small things, you'll start to notice just how much favor surrounds you. Gratitude is also a declaration of trust. When you thank God for His blessings, you're saying, "Lord, I trust that you're in control. I may not have all the answers, but I know you're working all things together for my good." This kind of gratitude strengthens your faith and keeps you anchored in God's promises. But gratitude isn't just about receiving, it's also about giving. When you recognize how much favor you've received, it naturally compels you to bless others. Maybe you've experienced uncommon favor in your career. How can you use that to mentor someone else? Perhaps God has blessed you financially. How can you be generous to those in need? Gratitude turns your blessings into a source of blessing for others. Lastly, gratitude prepares your heart for more favor. It's like a magnet that draws God's blessings into your life. When you're thankful for what you have, you're showing God that you can be trusted with more. It's no wonder the Bible says, "Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you," 1 Thessalonians 5:18. Gratitude aligns your heart with God's will and positions you to receive even greater blessings. So today, take a moment to reflect on the favor you've already experienced. Think about the doors that have opened, the relationships that have blessed you, and the challenges you've overcome. Let gratitude fill your heart and flow from your lips. As you do, you'll not only experience the joy of recognizing God's hand in your life, but you'll also open the door for more of His uncommon favor to come your way. Uncommon favor brings glory to God. Uncommon favor is not just about the blessings you receive. It's about showcasing God's power, grace, and love to the world. When God pours out His favor on your life, it's a way of demonstrating His goodness. It's not just for your benefit, it's a testimony that points others to Him. Favor is a divine spotlight that shines on you so that others can see God's hand at work. Think about the story of Daniel in the Bible. Daniel was thrown into the lion's den because he refused to compromise his faith. The situation looked hopeless. There was no way out from a den filled with hungry lions. Yet God's uncommon favor protected Daniel, shutting the mouths of the lions and keeping him safe. When the king saw what had happened, he issued a decree praising Daniel's God and declaring his power. Daniel's favor wasn't just for him. It was a testimony that brought glory to God. When God blesses you with uncommon favor, it's not about elevating your name, it's about elevating His name. When people see the extraordinary things happening in your life, they're drawn to the source of that favor. They begin to ask questions like, how did you get that opportunity? Or how did you overcome that challenge? And when they do, it's your chance to point them to God and give Him the credit. Your life can become a living testimony of God's greatness. When you walk in uncommon favor, it's an invitation for others to see what's possible when you trust in Him. Maybe it's a promotion you weren't qualified for, a health breakthrough that defies medical explanation, or a relationship restored against all odds. These moments of favor aren't just about your success. They're about showing the world that with God, all things are possible. Uncommon favor also positions you to bless others, which in turn glorifies God. Think about Joseph, who rose to a position of power in Egypt. His favor wasn't just for him, it was for the preservation of his family and an entire nation during a time of famine. Joseph's blessings became a blessing to countless others, and through his actions, God's provision was evident to everyone around him. Sometimes the way God uses favor to bring glory to Himself is by doing the unexpected. He loves to use unlikely people in unlikely circumstances to accomplish extraordinary things. He took David, a young shepherd boy, and made him king. He took Moses, a man with a speech impediment, and used him to lead an entire nation out of slavery. He took Esther, an orphan, and used her to save her people. These stories remind us that God's favor is not about our qualifications. It's about His power working through us. When you experience uncommon favor, it's important to stay humble and grounded. It's tempting to think that your success is a result of your own efforts, but true favor comes from God. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "But remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." When you acknowledge God as the source of your blessings, you glorify Him and keep yourself in a position to receive even more of His favor. Another way favor brings glory to God is by inspiring others to trust Him. When people see how God has moved in your life, it builds their faith. Your testimony of favor becomes a seed of hope for someone else. They begin to believe if God did it for them, He can do it for me too. Your story becomes a reminder that God is faithful, that He keeps His promises, and that His favor is available to everyone who trusts in Him. God's favor often works in ways that exceed human understanding. It opens doors that no one else can open. It brings opportunities that seem impossible. And when people see those miracles in your life, they can't help but recognize that it's not by your strength, but by God's. That recognition glorifies Him in a way that words alone never could. Walking in uncommon favor also requires stewardship. When God blesses you, He's entrusting you with something valuable. Whether it's financial resources, influence, or opportunities, those blessings are meant to be used for His glory. They're not just for your benefit, they're tools to further His kingdom. So as you walk in uncommon favor, ask yourself, how can I use these blessings to glorify God? How can my life point others to Him? Maybe it's by sharing your testimony, giving generously, or using your talents to serve others. Whatever it looks like for you, remember that the favor on your life is ultimately about bringing glory to the one who gave it. When you embrace this perspective, your blessings take on a deeper meaning. They're no longer just about personal gain. They're about fulfilling a greater purpose. Uncommon favor is an opportunity to be a reflection of God's love, grace, and power in a world that desperately needs it. So, let your life be a testimony of His goodness. When people see the favor on you, let them see the God who gave it. And as you glorify Him, you'll find that His favor doesn't just stop, it multiplies, spreading His light and love to everyone around you. As we close, remember that uncommon favor is not something you have to strive for. It's already been placed upon your life. God's hand is guiding you, opening doors no one can shut, and positioning you for greatness. Walk forward with confidence, knowing that favor will go before you and make your path straight. Stay faithful in the small things, grateful for every blessing, and expectant for the extraordinary. Challenges may come, but they are only opportunities for God to show His power. Let your life be a testimony of His goodness, a reflection of His grace, and an invitation for others to see His love. Go out with boldness, live with gratitude, and trust that the best is yet to come. Uncommon favor is yours. Walk in it and let it transform your life and the lives of those around you.